conversation, you will be inspired with singing that will make your heart a little lighter. There's no time like this time. You can turn your thoughts higher to a place of peace where things are much calmer. Our time together bring you to your destiny. People all together in perfect harmony. The Loretta Merritt Show. The Loretta Merritt Show. Come and join the conversation. You will be inspired with singing that will make your heart a little lighter. There's no time like this time. You can turn your thoughts higher to a place of peace where things are much calmer. Our time together bring you to your destiny. People all together in perfect harmony. The Loretta Merritt Show. The Loretta Merritt Show.
Everyone, welcome to the Loretta Merritt Show, an inspirational music and conversation experience to encourage, uplift, inspire, inform, enlighten, and motivate through the power of singing and learning. I am your host, Loretta Merritt, and gospel artist. The show is held every third Sunday of the month at 7 o'clock p.m. live on YouTube and Facebook. So subscribe to my YouTube channel, like and send some positive comments, and share. Today, actually Sunday, April 10th, we are having the show on the second Sunday because Easter is next week. So we want to go ahead and let you enjoy your time with your family. And so I figured we'll just have the show on the second Sunday today. So thank you for tuning in. Now, tonight is a special evening. We have a very special guest who is on with us tonight. And she's special because she's just not a podcaster, but she's also my lovely, beautiful daughter, Syndi Victor. And so Syndi Victor is host of the 16 Millimeter Film Crew podcast and a digital content writer at the 360 Healthy Broadcasting Network in Atlanta, Georgia. Syndi developed a great passion for films and storytelling at a young age. She was inspired to start writing her own stories in high school, and eventually she became the editor of her university newspaper. Go, Syndi. And so Syndi and her co-host Dale Barham began producing the 16 Millimeter Film Crew podcast in July of 2019 to discuss movies, pop culture, and the current landscape of cinema from a Black millennium perspective. The podcast has had wonderful opportunities like interviewing hip-hop journalist and Luke Cage showrunner Cheo Coker and attending the Sundance and Atlanta Film Festivals. And some of their special episodes focus on the work from acclaimed directors like Steven Spielberg and Greta Gerwig. And you can check out the podcast everywhere podcasts are found at 16 Millimeter Film Crew Podcast and at their website, www.16millimeterfilmcrew.com. Okay, so without further ado, help me join my special guest, my daughter, Syndi Victor.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Syndi. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Syndi, for joining me this evening. I appreciate you taking the time out, and it's so good to have you here joining with your mom tonight. So we're going to dive right on in it, and we're going to have a wonderful conversation, all righty?
Yeah.
So, Syndi, 16 millimeter film crew. Now, how did you come up with that name for your podcast?
So I think one of the things we wanted to do is to create something that was a little different, that most people hadn't heard of. And if you're in the film community, you've obviously heard of 16 millimeter film, which is like a very special kind of film that they use to make movies or television shows, but it's not something that's widely used. It's more like used for like independent films, or if you want like a certain quality of filmmaking, that's the type of film that you use. So we wanted to do something that was a little different, a little offbeat, a little more like if you know kind of thing. So
Right. Okay. Well, all right. Thanks for sharing that with us. And you've been a podcaster since 2019.
yeah.
Okay, so it's been like 3 years now. That's pretty good. All right, I'm proud of you. So what sparked your interest in becoming a podcaster?
Well, it was never anything I had ever really considered before. When I started my job in Georgia, I got along with the people I was working with really well. I still do. They're really great people. And me and my friend Dale, we would just be in our office, like doing our work, but like during lunch times and during times that we were like, there was not that much going on in the office, we would have conversations about movies. And so one of the great things is that Dale and I have both gone to the same university. We had the same teacher. We did the same degree. So we had a lot to talk about in terms of movies, television show, pop culture moments, our own experiences. Yeah. So we would just have these really great discussions about movies, which was amazing because it's one of the things that I love talking about. It's a hobby of mine as well as like a part of my job. So we were just talking about it, and it was actually Dale's idea that we would start a podcast that would be hosted by a woman, and a woman of color, especially.
Okay.
So, that's how that got started. I really have to give the credit to him because I wasn't really thinking about it. But when he brought up the idea, it was just like, it just kind of fit.
Wonderful. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, Dale, go Dale. Way to go. You mentioned that you started at you and Dale went to the same university, and you also was a writer for your university. You mind sharing with us what's the name of that university?
It's Oakwood University. It's in Huntsville, Alabama. If you know, you know. If you're part of the crew, what's up?
Okay, Oakwood University. All right, you put out some gems. Very good. Love that. So, Syndi, you are also a digital content writer at the 360 Healthy Broadcasting Network in Atlanta, Georgia. And so, tell us a little bit about that, working at the 360 Healthy Broadcasting Network.
Yeah, so this company is kind of really multifaceted in what it does. So it has a kind of TV portion of it, but it's also like a nonprofit. So it does focus mainly on trying to get people to have a healthier lifestyle. And so I worked there as an intern first, and then I came on full time and started writing with Zadie Crow, who's an amazing woman, and she and I were working on our magazine. So we have a 360 Health magazine that's on digital platforms, and basically it's all about like physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional health and well-being. So we would write for that magazine, and then we have our new website, Your 360 Health, that's coming out, and I write for that website. So I do the articles, the blog posts, like you do the research to kind of get people to have kind of more a diverse and more holistic look at health, especially kind of in the wake of the pandemic. It's something that I think is on a lot of people's minds. So
yes,
really work. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And actually, as you mentioned, and during this pandemic time, the health wellness is really key right now. I know even for myself, sitting home, working remotely from home, and I've been working from home in 2 years plus. So, and I'm not out there like I used to be, like walking where I need to be, running, like running for the bus to catch my bus and just running and everything like that. And, really being active. And so I think at this time, especially during the pandemic, even though I know things are starting to open up now, that it's still important to just keep that in mind, your health, your wellness, and have a balanced life and become active. We all need to be, more active. Syndi, I have a question for you, because I remember you when you were 4 years old and you would watch Pocahontas, The King and I, and Lion King, and other Disney shows, and you would recite the entire shows, like all of them. And I was like, okay, she's going to be an actress or into entertainment, something like that. So did you ever thought about becoming an actress?
Yeah, I definitely thought about it, considered it a lot. It was one of the things that I wanted to be when I grew up, very much so. But I think, I don't know, I got like a more understanding of how the business worked, especially back then. A lot has changed in the film business, or in the film industry, to be more specific. But I think back then, when I was like 8 or 9 or 10, it did look very different for young women who were Black. The landscape was very different. So I think I kind of was excited about the prospects of maybe becoming an actress, but I also didn't see a lot of Black women in those spaces. I think at the time, the biggest one was Halle Berry. I think that's probably the main person. So
Right.
I think as I got older, things kind of shifted a little bit.
Yeah. We have a lot of more Black women in the industry now, in the film and movies now.
Right.
So do you see yourself working on becoming an actress in the future, or not really?
I think it's definitely something I would want to pursue. Like, it's still very much in me. I've done drama, theater all my life. So I definitely will probably want to get back into it at some point. But I think what I understand now is that the roadmaps of trying to like break into the industry are so different now because of the internet and because social media. So you can really actually create your own career. You don't need to kind of go through like the gatekeeping and all those other things to kind of be successful in that particular field. So I think that's probably what I'm going to focus on more, is like finding ways to do a little DIY actor kind of thing, like do it yourself until like something else happens.
Yeah,
But,
until something breaks.
so, until something breaks, exactly.
But that's good though, Syndi. That's really good, because like
Yeah.
you said, with the internet now, I mean, everything is being done on the internet right now, music, singing, podcasting, definitely a lot of podcasting. I mean, just so many podcasters around. So yeah. And so this is a great opportunity too, to take time in this opportunity to, if you feel like, hey, I want to do a little bit, dab into that acting part and, hone into those skills and get into that, like you said, this is a good time for it now. So that's great. So getting back to podcasting. So as a podcaster, Sen, what are some challenges you faced, and how did you overcome it?
Well, I think one of the challenges is something that you just pointed out, which is that there are so many podcasts, right? There are a ton of podcasts and podcasters that people listen to, that they love, and kind of getting a audience who will stay with you and grow with you is challenging when there's so much content out there. So that's definitely one of the challenges that I think we face, because, we're just starting out. We've done it for 3 years, but still, like, we're infants basically. And breaking through and getting like a larger audience, or just an audience that like are interested in what you're doing and want to come back each week to listen, like that, getting and keeping that audience is one of the biggest challenges, I would say, that we've kind of faced. And overcoming it, well, it's just staying at it, really. Like, there isn't like a shortcut to being successful, or whatever success is in your definition. So like, for me, it's not being like a super big or whatever, but just having like a really solid homegrown audience is what's important to me, and having that interaction is what's also important. So I think for me, it's just like, well, for me and Dale, we're very much on the same page about this, is that like,
yeah,
pursuing opportunities where we can get opportunities, just kind of what we're doing now. We've been kind of doing that in the last year, but also just continuing to be consistent, because a lot of people start and then they don't really see anything happening and then they just stop.
Get discouraged. They get a little discouraged.
Right. We just kept going, kept at it, even if it's been difficult, even if not that many people listened last week or whatever. Like, just keep at it.
Yeah. And it's good, because that's one thing I would say, one advice to give to people is like, just because things don't always go the way you want it to go or move as fast as you want it to go, even when you have your vision, you have to be patient, be patient. Don't give up, you keep at it, you stay at it, you be consistent, you be, you dedicated, be dedicated, and, just keeps pushing. And then one day, it's going to happen, and success means different things to different people. Syndi, you mentioned what it means to you, but just for anyone else, no matter what you are doing, whether it's a podcaster or anything else, a lot of times we want the results, we want it really fast, and we want it, I want it right now. And sometimes it doesn't happen right now. But you can rest assured, if you stay in it, stay the course, you will see the wonderful and great results that you are looking for. So Syndi, what is your process as a podcasting? What do you do? Like, or the skill sets, like what is it? Like, what's the process?
So the process is that basically we will have like little meetings where we'll decide the month, which is like what movies are coming out, what TV shows are coming out, what we want to watch. And so we kind of discuss those things, we pick those things out, and then we watch them, obviously, but we also do our own personal reviews. So we watch movies or TV shows or anything that's really like interesting. We watch that during the week. So when it's time to record, we'll have our main review, which is our main, whatever we've chosen for or scheduled for that week. And then we'll have our news, which is box office news, anything that's been going on in entertainment at that moment or over the past week. And then we'll have our personal reviews, where we'll talk about things that we're just interested in watching and discussing. And then we come and we record. It's not, in the beginning, it was a lot more difficult because we were really trying to find our footing, try to figure out like how we were going to do it. But now we've kind of gotten it down to like an art, where it's just like, we know what we're going to talk about, we discuss it. And it's really fun because Dale and I have very different perspectives on certain things, but then on other things, we'll be very much on the same page. So it's fun to have those different kind of perspectives going on. It makes the conversation a lot more interesting. And we'll also kind of see like what other people have been saying about the film. We'll look at critics' reviews, audience scores, stuff like that. So we'll kind of get the general vibe of like what people are thinking about the movie or the show that we're talking about. And then we'll discuss it, and then we'll score it. And based on that score, we'll say if it was great, if it wasn't, and then if the audience at home should watch it. So yeah.
Perfect. Wonderful. I know I've been watching some of it too. And you guys have done an amazing job, analyzing and, giving the synopsis of the movies. Now you mentioned that, you go out to the movies, you actually go out to the theaters, and you might watch something on television, both you and Dale. And that's a lot to run to, every time to, present, to sit there and actually analyze the movie and then come back and put it together and to be able to share it with your viewers. That's amazing. So let me ask you something, because you do have a full-time job and then you do podcasting. How do you do it? How do you make it all work? Like, running to the movies and they got to put it together, but you also got to make sure you have your work the next day. So how does all of that fit into your schedule? How do you make that happen?
Well, it's really just about being kind of just having a schedule, like you said, just having kind of setting your priorities. I usually watch all of the films on the weekends, so that way it doesn't interfere with like having to go to the movies midday. Like we don't do that. So we watch the movies on the weekends. That's usually when they come out. So like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, pick a day and then and then watch it. The great thing that's happened recently is because of COVID and all that other stuff, most of the movies are online, so you actually have more time to watch the films. And then we record at night after the workday is done. So obviously we have the same job. So after we're done working, we come and we record later on in the night. And then Dale does our editing. He does the graphics. He's like graphics editing, website like extraordinary. Like he gets all of that stuff done. He's
the tech person.
He pushes that out the next day so that when we record on Monday nights, the episodes are up on Tuesdays. So.
Wow, that's fabulous. You know, I call that multitasking, you know, and if you could be able to, you know, juggle, you know, and still give 100%, you know, to both of your jobs, then, you know, hey, you know, that's great. You know, you're doing really good. Mm-hmm. That's really good. So I'm really happy to hear that. And that's just for anyone else as well. So you can do more than one thing. You know, you can actually have your daytime job and you can have something on the side that, you know, that's your passion. Because a lot of times, I want to say a lot of times, and not for everyone, but a lot of times we have jobs and it's just a job, you know, to pay bills and, you know, something we have to have, you know, because we need money. But a lot of times, sometimes we don't work in doing things that's, you know, what we're passionate about. So having a regular job and then also having something on the side is something I would definitely recommend. If you have a passion that you want to do, you haven't, you know, you haven't gone into it yet, you haven't delved into it yet, you know, go and do something on the side and multitask and juggle, you know, have that schedule and you can actually do it. You could do more than one thing and also be successful at it. So Syndi, I know we talked a little bit about success. Can you become successful in this craft? What skills do you need to master podcasting?
Yeah, I definitely think you can become successful in this craft. I think anyone can. I just think that you have to be open to people's perspectives and to receiving feedback and kind of rounding out your kind of worldview and how you think about things. But also, I think that you probably need to be maybe a good orator just because you are talking. It's a talking, speaking, the people on the other end are listening platform. So like being able to speak eloquently or just like concisely, I guess, is like probably a good skill to have because that is the medium that this is in. So yeah.
Would you say scheduling is also a skill that someone would need, like organization skills or prioritizing?
Well, yeah, definitely. Because it's also your business. Like, even if you don't want to think about it in those terms, it kind of is. So you do have to be kind of business minded in how you spend your time, making sure you have a schedule, making sure that you have your priorities in a row. Like, that's definitely important.
Right. Okay. That's good. All right. So you heard that, right? So there are some skills in mastering podcasting. You know, anyone can just go and speak. Oh, maybe you can. But anyways, I know you had interviewed hip hop journalist Cheo Coker. How did you feel when you interviewed Cheo Coker?
Yeah, that was so exciting. I couldn't even believe that happened. That's again Dale. Like Dale was on Twitter talking about something, and then Cheo Coker like responded to him, and they got together and was like, "Please come on the podcast." So that's kind of how that happened. But that was really exciting because he is a showrunner. He did Luke Cage. He's interviewed a lot of hip hop artists back in the day, and he is also still like a filmmaker and a screenwriter. So like, yes, it was a very huge deal for him to come talk to us. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Kudos to Dale. Kudos, Dale. All right. You know, it's nice to have that connection, to build a relationship with people in the industry, especially in the industry that you're working in, you know, writing and film. That's excellent. And, you know, you can always try to go back to that person again and maybe get some additional advice or some suggestions and things like that. And even have them back on your show again. So way to go, Syndi and Dale. Okay. But what were some important gems you took away from that interview?
Basically, one of the main things that sticks out to me from that interview was he told the story about Barry Jenkins. And if you guys might not know who Barry Jenkins is, he was the director of Moonlight, and he's a showrunner for the Underground Railroad. So if you've heard of either of those two projects, he's in charge of that. Moonlight won the best film at the Oscars, I think in 2017. So yes, he's a Black man. He is an incredible filmmaker. He also did If Beale Street Can Talk. He's just amazing. But I think Cheo and Barry had met earlier before kind of Moonlight happened. And they were just having a conversation about stuff. And Barry wasn't sure that, it's not like he was, at the top of his game. He was literally just starting. And I think he didn't know like if what he was doing was like the right direction he should be going in. He didn't know if the project was even going to work. And then he made Moonlight, which won an Oscar. So it's like basically what I took from that was the path of like how things can go are so you're never going to have the full picture. You're only just going to have like a few steps, and you just have to have faith in those steps of like, okay, I feel like what I'm doing is right. And I feel like this is the right path I need to be going on. And then amazing things happen, but it comes from trust and faith and passion. Like you have to really care about what you're doing. And it's not for any external validation or money or fame or awards. Like it's not when you're an artist, like that's not what it's supposed to be about anyways. But I think in our culture now, that's maybe been more subtly pushed of like, this is what success looks like. And this is what you should want out of your life. But when you're doing things just because you love it, like you're never going to have all the answers. You just kind of have to go, and you just have to start. So that meant a lot to me and Dale, because it was just like, yeah, we're just starting, but who knows what this can turn into? Like we just have to continue. So.
Exactly. Beautifully said. And, you mentioned some key words in there. You mentioned having faith and having trust and the path or the direction that one's going into. Do you feel that you were led by God to go into this direction?
Yeah, because this was never I never thought about this before. So like it had to be God, because like I would have never thought like, oh yeah, I should start a podcast. Like that's not where my brain was. So the fact that this happened, and it happened in a really organic way, and then it's something that I legit just look forward to doing every single week. Like I'm so excited every week to talk about it. Like
that's beautiful.
That's God. Like, but that's what God does. He's like, oh, you thought this was, no, you're going in this direction. So let's bring you over here.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, God. So you have like so many videos out. You've gone to so many movies, you've seen films and everything. Which film do you enjoy talking about the most?
So last year a movie called Dune came out, and it's like a science fiction movie. I love that genre because I know that's one of the movies that I really connected to when I was younger. Steven Spielberg made a movie called War of the Worlds, and that was like the coolest thing I had ever seen. So ever since then, I've been really attracted to that genre, and I had read the book of Dune, and I was really excited about like who was going to be in it. And so when it came out, it was like hotly anticipated by everyone. Like I was in the theater at the first screening, just like really excited to see it. Really excited to talk about it. I think I made like a video about it too. Like, yeah, I was very excited about that. So it was that movie.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. That's great. I love to hear that. And speaking of movies, I have one of your video clips, you and Dale's, and it's called Euphoria. And so I'm sure you remember that. You didn't do it too long ago. And so we're going to check out a little bit of Syndi's work. So let's check out that snippet video, Euphoria.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 16mm Film Crew podcast. I'm Syndi.
And I'm Dale.
You can watch us on YouTube. You can like and comment on our YouTube videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can support us on Anchor. You can listen to us everywhere podcasts are found at 16mm Film Crew Podcast. And you can visit us on our website, www.16mmfilmcrew.com. So we have a lot to talk about today. We are getting into the Euphoria Season 2 wrap-up. When Leonardo DiCaprio was like, Euphoria is my favorite show, I said, ew, why? Because you're like a grown man? Like,
yeah.
I said, oh, that's uncomfortable. But there were a lot of older men who were saying, yes, I love Euphoria. It's such a great show, so groundbreaking, so real, right? And that just made me feel icky. And I think because, again, you have to question the motives of like why they made the show and who it's targeted towards. Because this is a show about teenagers. But it's made for adults, which means that the content obviously is going to be a little bit more grown up. Sam has a couple of problems, and a lot of them were highlighted in Malcolm and Marie. I'm glad I watched that movie because now I understand how this man thinks. This man thinks that, one, cinema doesn't need to have messages. So basically you can do whatever you want, and some of it can be necessary. None of it has to be necessary. It's just whatever you want to do. You can do whatever you want. And there is no accountability. There's no responsibility for the audience that you're giving it to. You're just going to do whatever you want because you can. And that's how Sam thinks.
Wonderful. Yes, I love it, Syndi. I love it. All right, that's so good. We are getting close to our time, so I just want to ask a few more questions, and then we're going to wrap this up. Syndi, what piece of advice would you give someone starting out as a podcaster?
Okay, the piece of advice I would give is to really decide like what you're bringing into the kind of landscape of podcasts. Like, what is your unique take on things? Like, if I know for us, it's that we're young and we're Black and we're talking about movies. Like, that isn't something that you usually see. So find your niche, I guess, is really what I'm trying to say. Because again, there's so much out there that you really want to have something that's distinct and that will kind of catch people's eye and make people want to listen to your perspective. I think that's really important.
Mm-hmm. Great. I like that. You mentioned already where listeners can find you and Dale. Can you just tell us again, where can listeners find you online?
Yes, so I'll say right now. You can listen to us everywhere podcasts are found at 16mm Film Crew Podcast. You can watch on YouTube because we have a YouTube channel, which is 16mm Film Crew Podcast, and you can leave a comment, you can like, you can comment, all the regular stuff. And then we have an amazing website that's www.16mmfilmcrew.com. And on that website, we have blog posts, we have videos, and then we also have all of our social media links there too. So you can check that out.
Okay, you heard that. Check her out. Check Dale out. Check them out. Okay, 16mm. And Syndi, lastly, you're young and you have a direction in where you see yourself. And not everyone knows their purpose. What word of advice would you give someone who's trying to find their purpose?
Ooh, I would say if you are a person of faith, then yeah, you need to pray a lot because I think one of the things is that if you are really talented, like you have a lot of gifts, you have a lot of different things that you can do and areas that you can go into, it's kind of hard to figure out or narrow down like what is the right path or that specific thing that you should be doing. And so I think that I know that's a lot of issues that I've been hearing from some of my friends, but I think that if you pray, you will hear the Holy Spirit speak to you, and you're not gonna get like a clear answer. I'm just gonna say that. Like, you'll just get like a little shadow of like a place where you should be heading, of like a little glimmer of like, okay, this thing. I think one of the interesting things in the Bible is that when kind of the great leaders like Abraham and Moses, like, they weren't told full plans. They were given one instruction and they went. You know, basically their thing was, if God says something, yeah, I'll be open to it. I'll follow. And just being open to following whatever he has for you. Because sometimes, or all the time, his plans are better than what you probably thought for yourself. Even if it sounded like a good plan, there's probably something better for you there. So I just think in terms of purpose, like, it does come down to prayer, but also all of our purpose is the same. Like, we're all supposed to serve others. And if, again, you're a person of faith, kind of promote God's message and show God's love to others. Like, that's all of our purpose on life. So how we do it differs, but it's the same baseline for all of us. And it's okay if you don't have all the answers, or you don't know everything, like, you're not sure of what exactly you're supposed to be doing. Like, you can pray about it and it'll come to you. Like, it's never too late to do what you were purposed to do. You just have to be open to following God's path. So that's really only the kind of advice I can give, because I don't know, people might tell you to do different things and you might look different ways and try to like glean some answers. But I know for me, that's what worked for me. I prayed about it and God revealed just a baby step of where I needed to be. And I just trusted that.
Well, that's a big step. That's just not a baby step. You know, prayer, as you mentioned, is key. Having faith is key. Being open to listening, to hearing and listening from the word of God and what he has to say to you is really important. And I'm sure in time, you will find your purpose. Syndi, thank you so much for being on the Loretta Merritt Show. I appreciate you for taking the time out of your schedule, for being here with your moms, and love you so much. And I know you're going to do great things. Continue to let God lead you. Continue to let God guide you and direct you in the right direction and in your path. And keep soaring. Keep being great. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
So everyone, you heard it right there from the mouths of my daughter, Syndi Victor. Pray, have faith, trust, be open, listen to the Lord's words, and you will be walking into your purpose, into your destination, into your destiny. So thank you for joining the Loretta Merritt Show. Once again, I appreciate you all for being here, for taking the time out of your schedule when you could be anywhere. Like, really, you really could. But you decide to come on here. And so I thank you so much. Love you guys. Love you so much. And you have a wonderful evening. Enjoy Palm Sunday. Enjoy next week, Easter. You know, if you celebrate Easter, you know, enjoy that day. And I look forward to seeing everyone on my next show, which is going to be held on Sunday, May 15th at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Time, live YouTube, live Facebook, where our special guest will be my friend, my bro, Gary Saunders. You all know Gary Saunders, so come on out and let's hear the conversation. Join the conversation. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.